Oh, I was going to talk about this earlier. The reason why people find Freddy so tedious with all the slowdown add-ons with Thanatophobia and bullshit, even though Thanatophobia by itself is kind of weak and silly, is because the key, the fix for gen rushing is not making generators last longer. No one wants to be on generators for 5 minutes. It's boring. It's one of the most boring parts of the game, actually. One of the most interesting parts of the game is not sitting on a generator repairing it for 80 seconds. That's not the fun of the game. The fun of the game is working on a gen, hearing a terror radius, deciding whether to stealth, whether to run away, stealthing from the killer, looping the killer, mind gaming the killer. All those interactions are what make Dead by Daylight interesting. So whenever you have a moment where you're just sitting on gens because you have to sit on gens. No one wants to sit on gens for 5 minutes. That's why people disconnect against Freddy. That's why people hate Forever Freddy, Slowdown Freddy, Slug Freddy. That's why people hate him so much. This is why we need new ways to fix the core gameplay loop. The core gameplay loop is fine. It's okay. It's whatever. Doing gens, chasing Survivor, downing Survivor, hooking Survivor. It's fine. It's okay. But it needs more. After 5 years, we're coming up on our 5th year of Dead by Daylight. I can excuse if we've gone without a core gameplay update in about, I don't know, a year. But it's been about 2 years since the endgame collapse has been introduced. The endgame collapse is the only core gameplay loop update we've had since the game came out. Since it came out. There have been no secondary objectives added to the game. They've tried with Pustula Flowers, they've tried with festive hooks and festive gens, but it always reduces to the same thing. They don't have the time, they don't have the manpower to focus on actual additions to the gameplay. So they've just resolved themselves to, what's the word? Conforming to what they have now because it's working. And sure, it's working. I'm glad it's working. Oops, I played Dying Light, Thanatophobia, Corrupt, and Save the Best for Last. You know what? Save the Best for Last is a wonderful perk. That's alright. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with using Dying Light, Thanatophobia, Corrupt. There's nothing wrong with using perks at all. The perks are there to be used. That's what they're there for. Now, you can't call it perk toxic. You can't call a perk build toxic because that's not how it is. The only thing you can call toxic and is annoying is how people use these. And of course, it's annoying to go against the Dying Light, Thanatophobia, like swing chains, add-ons, whatever the hell, to slow down the game by 10,000%. But there are ways to counter this. This is how the game is supposed to be made, so that there are ways to slow survivors down, there are ways to counter the slowdown. The reason people hate it so much against Freddy is because his add-ons, you fall asleep automatically. It's a passive feature. You don't do anything. You cannot fight falling asleep unless you fail skill checks. And failing a skill check on a generator, even with Technician, is a terrible idea. There's no reason to be failing skill checks. So I guess that's why people find Freddy so tedious. You play with Ruin too. I mean, I hella find Ruin annoying. But at the end of the day, Ruin is a Hex perk. And Hex perks are completely luck-based. They have no skill whatsoever. The only skill that you can implement into a Hex build, into a Hex perk, is defending it. And take that very lightly. Take that with a grain of salt. Oh, we're playing without perks again. No big deal. We did so well without perks, it's like we don't even need them. But what I meant to say is, I got so hyped up on this rant and I forgot where I was going. Oh yes, I'm pretty sure the endgame collapse was introduced for the 3rd year anniversary. Because for the 4th year anniversary, it was Resident Evil. And it was not Resident Evil, I'm sorry. It was Silent Hill. Don't kill me. I'm sorry. It was Silent Hill and it was okay. This year we're getting Resident Evil. I would be extremely surprised if they add a gameplay addition during this anniversary update. I would be incredibly surprised if they do that. I don't expect them to do that. And I feel like the game would benefit immensely from more objectives. If you could give survivors and killers something else to do, some more variation, something that affects the gameplay in some sort, that hinders one side, benefits the other, and both sides can do something against this That's what this game needs. It needs a little bit more variation because people get tired of this game because once they hit a certain skill cap, it's just about looping, not looping, doing gen, not doing gen, looping, and that's it. And the only variation comes in perk builds, and killers. And thankfully, that's what's kept this game alive. Killers. The fact that they've been introducing so many killers. If they weren't introducing as many killers as they have been, this game would have died a long time ago. This game would have died a long time ago. So I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them for putting in the work, putting in the effort. But if they're gonna conform to what we have, then we're never going to improve. That's all I hope. I hope that they don't conform. That's all. That they're not satisfied. That they become greedy. Greed is good. If they strive to make their game better, even if it's to win themselves more money, whatever, but at least we'll benefit from it because they're trying. So I just want them to try for us. That's all. That's all I'm asking for.